We're excited to have you here for today's performance.
In case of emergency, there are 7 exits, 3 in the front and 4 in the back. Bathrooms can be found through the back exits of the auditorium. If you can, please wait to use the bathroom until intermission or between performances.
There are AEDs located outside the back exits of the auditorium.
Food and beverages are not allowed inside the theater. If concessions are being sold at an event, you must eat them outside in the lobby before returning back into the auditorium.
See this? Cell phone usage is not permitted during any performance. Please make sure your phones are powered off and away.
Please remember to be respectful to the performers. Remember, they can see and hear you just like you can see and hear them.
Thank you for attending. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Denton, and in my day job, I have the privilege of serving as the Director of Academic Services, Visual and Performing Arts here in the Baldwinsville Central School District. I also serve as the Secretary and a proud founding board member of this Hall of Fame. Tonight, I'm honored to welcome you all to the 4th annual induction ceremony of the Baldwinsville Community Hall of Fame for the Visual and Performing Arts. Our Hall of Fame president, Garrett Heater, unfortunately came down with a bit of a bug and is unable to join us this evening. But he sends his deepest regrets and his congratulations to our honorees. Filling Garrett's shoes is no easy task, but I am joined this evening by all of our board members here to my left and right, here on stage, and our Vice President, Rebecca Croucher. Rebecca will be assisting me with the emceeing duties tonight. We'll share some closing thoughts later this evening. Can we give our board of directors a round of applause, please? Tonight, we celebrate 6 remarkable individuals whose varied contributions to the arts have left an indelible mark on Baldwinsville and made us incredibly proud. It is a prestigious, talented, and deeply deserving group that has demonstrated a passion and love for visual and performing arts, either helping to promote the arts with the youth in our community, turning their love into careers of creativity and inspiration, and even being recognized on the national and international visual and performing arts stages. I will say that our behind-the-scenes planning this year felt a little different. Every single person on our current board has some connection to one of tonight's inductees, Carol Jacoby. Go ahead, it's appropriate. There's gonna be a lot more of that tonight. There's no doubt in my mind that she has more than a little to do with me having the honor and privilege of standing here before you tonight. And so many others can say exactly the same thing. Whether we were her students being instructed or held accountable like only Miss Jacoby could do, right here in this room, whether we were her colleagues, her longtime community friends, or a witness to her work, we have all been made better for having Carol in our lives. And we all thought we knew exactly how much Carol did for this organization. After all, she is a founding member and served as our very first president. However, Carol's term as president ended last year, and for the first time in our organization's history, she wasn't leading the charge. Or was she? Yes, the planning did feel very different. We actually had to do all of the things. We kept going through our checklist and kept saying, who did the bios? Carol. Who did the program? Well, Carol used to do that. Who reached out to all the inductees? Well, I'm pretty sure Carol did that too. I'm seeing a theme here. But I really have a question. Carol, that was more about you not trusting any of us, right? Well, Carol, you made it look easy and also made it easy for us. This year, our board was focused on dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Clearly, Carol had set the bar high. But that is Carol Jacoby and her incredible influence of dedication and excellence on everything she touches and everyone she knows. All of our honorees this evening, Carol, Todd, Diane, Stephen, David Joshua, and Jennifer, are deserving of the greatest celebration. And tonight will be filled with some incredible recognitions, amazingly beautiful art, and very powerful performances. One of my favorite parts of our induction ceremony is its connection and collaboration with the students here at C.W. Baker High School. This evening is an important opportunity for our current students to witness the possibilities, to see into their own futures, and recognize the incredibly formative and fulfilling role that the arts have and can play in their lives. All brought to them by celebrating the accomplishments of all of tonight's inductees. Thanks to our music students and Mr. Karki and Mr. Keating, our strings and choral teachers, for their support of students performing this evening, and to all of our art students whose work will be on display on stage following our ceremony, and their teachers, Mr. Brown, Ms. DeBatis, Ms. Bajali, and Ms. Davis. And thank you to Superintendent Dr. DeBarbary, who is here this evening with us, his leadership cabinet, and our Board of Education for their continued leadership, collaboration, and support of the arts in Baldwinsville. While tonight is a celebration of the future and the present, it is also a look back to the past. The influences and the support received by all of us lucky enough to be a part of the Baldwinsville arts community and its lasting legacy. In January, we lost a dear friend and a foundational pillar of this organization, Sally Dager. Sally, alongside her friends Jim Goulet, Carol Jacoby, and Nancy Rowe, were the driving forces in establishing this Hall of Fame. Sally's passion for the arts in Baldwinsville and really everything Baldwinsville was unmatched. We miss her tonight and so happy to have honored her as an inductee of the class of 2025. But her legacy is woven into every performance and every piece of art that comes out of this community. Thank you, Sally. We miss you. We really do have a spectacular evening ahead of us. We're proud of all 6 of our inductees. Your talent inspires us, and your dedication and accomplishments in the visual and performing arts continue to shine a positive light on our home, Baldwinsville. Without further ado, let's begin the 2026 induction ceremony. Tonight, our keynote speaker is Cynthia Wells. Cynthia retired from Baldwinsville Central Schools after 34 years in art education. She is a member of the Hall of Fame inductee class of 2025 and is a current Hall of Fame board member. Please join me in welcoming Miss Cynthia Wells.
Thank you, Chris. First, I'd like to congratulate our honorees. It will be an honor to share this stage with you. When Garrett and Rebecca asked me if I would be the keynote speaker, I was surprised, but I said, okay. But then I thought, what could I speak about? The portrait you are seeing gave me the answer. This painting was done by my great aunt, Mary Wells, in 1899. Reminded me that this community has always been rich in the arts, dance, music, theater, and visual arts. Until 2001, this portrait resided in Baldwinsville. It's in Liverpool now. But anyway, unfortunately, no one knows who the woman is in the portrait. Back in the 1950s and 60s, Mohegan Manor was called the Oddfellows Temple. Upstairs in the ballroom, Muriel Cater had a dance studio where she taught tap and ballet. A couple, the McLeods, taught ballroom dancing to sometimes reluctant high schoolers in the basement of their home in the Brown Track. That was dance in Baldwinsville. Now young dancers can attend the River Rhythms Dance Center in the heart of the village. Since 1942, the Baldwinsville Theater Guild has been presenting quality theater to the Central New York area. It is the oldest continually performing non-professional community theater group in New York State. The Theater Guild gives opportunities to local performers, allowing them to showcase their talents, and gives the community a platform to appreciate the theater arts. In December 1979, Baldwinsville band teacher Philip Sterling, founded the Baldwinsville Community Band to give adult instrumental musicians a group with which to perform. Today, the band performs classical, modern music, marches, melodies, seasonal music, and show tunes at a variety of venues. Artists and musicians have always shared their knowledge and skills with the community. A few I remember: Barbara Enders, who taught private art lessons. Evelyn Mercer taught private piano lessons. Fiber artist Mary Keister shared her expertise with school and community groups. Millie Schmidt opened St. John Pottery for ceramic lessons and a gallery experience. Speaking of galleries, in the early 1980s, the Baldwinsville Library was one of the first Onondaga County libraries to establish an art gallery in what was then the old Firestone building on Oswego Street. Library patrons can now enjoy local artists as well as the work of district art faculty and students throughout the year in an expanded gallery in the new library. There is a wealth of other organizations within the community that support the arts. The Baldwinsville Community Center for the Art hosts the Ghost Walk, the Art Trail, and offers student scholarships. The Central New York Art Guild, Art Guild meets monthly at the Grace Episcopal Church and hosts 2 art shows in Radisson for all to enjoy. All artists are welcome at their meetings. In 1980, the Golden Fleece Spinner Society was formed. It also meets at the Grace Episcopal Church and is dedicated to learning, sharing, and exploring the craft of hand spinning. Canton Woods Senior Center offers crafts and fine art classes. You just have to smile when you drive through the village in October and see storefronts painted with Halloween pictures by students. The Optimist Club organizes this. And one cannot forget the Baldwinsville Central School District. The arts have been in our schools for decades. I can attest to at least 7 of those decades. At any time in any building, you can hear young musicians practicing, bands, orchestras, and choruses rehearsing, and see student artwork hanging in the hallways. Concerts and art shows abound year-round. At Ray Durgan Baker, young thespians showcase their theater art skills in plays or musicals. Music students attend NISMA events and statewide competitions. Not many communities the size of Baldwinsville can boast that their high school band has marched in the Rose Bowl Parade in Pasadena, California, and the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade in New York City. Visual arts students annually compete in the Central New York Scholastic Arts Competition and have their artwork showcased in a variety of NYSADA events and other regional competitions. All the arts, dance, theater, music, and visual arts build skills of discipline, creativity, innovation, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication in their own way. It is a testament to the Baldwinsville community that so many arts opportunities are available to all age groups. In this trying time when the arts are being threatened, it is powerful, meaningful, and joyous to know that the arts are flourishing in Baldwinsville, from the past to the present and into the future. Thank you. Now I have another job here. It is my pleasure. This year, the Baldwinsville Community Hall of Fame for the Visual and Performing Arts established an award of $500 to be given to a local nonprofit community arts organization dedicated to supporting and advancing the visual and/or performing arts in the Baldwinsville area. It is my pleasure to present this award to the Baldwinsville Community Band. Accepting this award is Band Director Phil Sterling. Hi, Phil. Congratulations. Here, say something.
yeah.
Say something.
I've learned to try to keep my comments shorter because I can go on forever. 46 years ago, the band had its first concert on March 4th, which I picked because it's the only day of the year that's a command, March 4th. So, but the story actually probably began in 1974 when I conducted a community band in Liverpool. And until that time, I wasn't really aware of an adult group, a non-professional group performing. Fast forward to 47 years ago, I was teaching at Durgee Junior High, and about this time of year, the students would sign up for their classes for the next year. And I had one student, I wish I remembered his last name, I think his first name was Kyle. He played the baritone horn. And he asked me, well, what's going to happen when I finish school, and what's going to happen with my playing? And I said, well, you might find a group to perform with if you go to college, a university, some bands, and so forth. Long and short of it, he did not sign up for band the next year. You know, he may have had other choices. I don't know the story. But that was the founding idea that, am I just having a job so I can have a salary and go home and be done? Or am I going to do something that should be meaningful for others to continue as adults? So over the course of that fall, I met people in the strangest of places. One person who's here tonight was walking through the music store talking about getting her flute repaired, and I just turned and said, hey, I'm going to start a community band. She said, sure. And members of the Theater Guild, who I had played in a show in the pit here, well, the old pit, and we started our first rehearsal. It was December 6th. I keep telling people it's December 7th. It was wrong. December 6th of 1979, and then did our first concert. It's always rewarding to see former students here and there. The first person to greet me at the door, Chris Denton, and the first person to meet me here in the auditorium, Joelle, and the one who introduced me to her little boy by saying, oh, this is the man who taught Mom and your grandfather how to play the trumpet. Well, I've gotten used to that, so. I have asked members of the band who are here tonight to have, I have little business cards, and I have some also, that just give you our website address, or you could look it up, Baldwinsville Community Band, and we have our 2026 schedule together. We have 7 concerts coming up this year, and if you know of anybody that still has their clarinet in the closet, I won't ask you if you really do, and or might want to play. I always tell people it's not like school in that, you know, there's no requirements, there's no grades. If you can't make something, you don't have to give an excuse. Just let me know you're not going to be there. So that's enough for tonight. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the generous donation.
So as we prepare to honor our 2026 inductees, just a couple of things. We have several folks that are going to be coming up to the stage to introduce our inductees. We just ask that when we introduce them, you come up to the stage. You're going to introduce our inductees, and then we hope that our inductees have some thoughts to share with our great audience here tonight. But our introducers can head back down to their seat while our inductees can share some thoughts. The other thing I do want to share is on just outside the auditorium, the door that you came in, if you just go to the left, that's actually the area in the high school dedicated to the Hall of Fame. So all of our inductees, your plaques and photos with bios are on the wall. We want to make sure you get out to that area to get some photos and to see those plaques that are here for all visitors of our high school to enjoy, especially our students. So it is my pleasure to welcome our first presenter, Tom Andino, to the podium. Tom is the director of deacon formation at the Roman Catholic Diocese of Syracuse and met Carol Jacoby, our first honoree, while working at Lemoyne College, where they collaborated on a project that, due to its profound impact, extended over the course of a full year and touched all who experienced it. Through that work and much more, they became not only valued colleagues, but great friends, sharing a deep passion for working with students. Tom, come on up, and thank you for joining us this evening. Let's put our hands together for Tom Andino.
Carol Jacoby, a graduate of Syracuse University, has been a music educator for 54 years, teaching elementary, middle, and high school, and currently working as an adjunct professor of voice and director of the vocal ensemble, the Jesuits, at Lemoyne College. She is widely known for her excellence in vocal jazz, which began at Baker with Silk and Satin. In 2019, she was the Lemoyne College Adjunct Educator of the Year. I feel like Dan Cummings reading the morning news. Give me just a moment, and then I'll continue. Joelle? That's better. I'd like to tell you about my neighbor, Carol Jacoby. I first met Carol in March of 2018. It was Thursday, March 8th, to be exact. I had heard in the news that Fred Rogers, my hero, was getting a postage stamp in recognition of the 50th anniversary of his show. And I was sitting on my couch and I had this crazy idea that came from out of divine inspiration that said, you should do something to honor his music. And if something bugs me for 3 weeks, I have to pay attention to it. And I tried to forget about it, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, I work in campus ministry. This is crazy. And I had wanted to work with my college roommate, who was a jazz musician, and do something at Lemoyne. And so this kind of gnawed at me, so I finally got up the courage to write to Carol, and I said, listen, I've worked with a lot of people in the music department, but not you, because I was intimidated. And I have this crazy idea, and I'd like to come down and talk to you about it. So she wrote back and said, sure. And I remember that walk to the Performing Arts Center. I was like sweating. And I go, and she's very gracious, and I pitched this idea to her about doing like maybe a couple songs in a fall concert just to commemorate his music, because I knew he was a jazz musician and wrote all the music for the show. And I make this big pitch, and Carol looks at me and she goes, who? Wasn't he a kids' TV? And I'm like, yes, the kids' show. And she said, you know what, I'm on my way to New York City tomorrow for spring break. You send me some stuff, I'll listen to it. Because I was going to do Stevie Wonder in the fall. That's what she said. So I sent her some stuff, and in my head I thought, she's not going to New York City. There was a major blizzard coming the next day, which is how I remember the day that I met her, on March 8th. Well, I learned then that when Carol sets her mind to something, Carol gets it done. Because Carol went to New York City on that train. And she listened to the music and she wrote me back and she said, I'm in. This stuff is incredible. I had no idea. And so we sat down and we started to craft this thing that grew into a full performance with dialogue and music. We went on to raise money for the Cathedral Academy and for the Fred Rogers Foundation. And more than that, that project, which went on for 3 performances, involved local high schools. And I think it changed both of our lives. It certainly changed the trajectory of my work and was a catalyst for what I would do. Fred Rogers wrote, the thing I remember most about successful people that I've met all through the years is their obvious delight in what they're doing. And it has very little to do with worldly success. They just love what they're doing, and they love it in front of others. And Carol embodies this for me. Through this project, I learned how serious she is about her craft. I learned how much she cares about her students as musicians and as people. And I watched those students not only grow as musicians, but as people because of her. She only put the finest musicians in front of them. Her nominees wrote, "Carol is one of the most generous human beings I have ever known. She gives of her talent as a conductor, coach, teacher, and arranger, and her impact on our community is profound and enduring." Another wrote, "The local seeds she has planted in people have created ripples, reaching internationally. She is an innovator, a catalyst, and a woman who gets things done." When most people retire, they retire. I feel like with Carol, she just got started after she left her years in public teaching here at Baldwinsville. The Jesuits and Carol and I, over those 2 years, had the opportunity to talk about the impact of that project and the takeaways that were not the musical highs. One, pay attention to the crazy idea that you have along the way, and don't be afraid to seek out people who have the gifts that you don't. Work together to try to bring the idea to life and create something that neither person could create on their own. Be open to encountering people you don't know. I still marvel at the fact that Carol agreed to work on a project about a man she didn't know with someone she didn't know. If you told me 8 years ago that I would be up here introducing Carol Jacoby for this award, I would not have believed you. That first walk to the Performing Arts Center to meet her, I was filled with nerves and anxiety, and today I am here filled with tremendous gratitude and joy and love for her for taking a chance on me and my crazy idea. Be willing to collaborate in the truest sense of the word. Carol arranged so many of the vocals for that project, Scott did instrumental arrangements, and I took care of the Fred Rogers piece. And we were not only able to create a musical collaboration, but we built a relationship, a deep friendship, and I will be forever grateful to her for that. I will close with this. Fred Rogers said, "If you could only sense how important you are to the lives of those you meet, how important you can be to the people you may never even dream of, there is something of yourself that you leave at every meeting with another person." Carol, thank you for leaving a piece of yourself with me, with countless generations of children, and with the Baldwinsville and Central New York community, and for bringing out the best in us, and for believing in us and inspiring us to be the best versions of ourselves, both on and off the stage. Carol?
Wow, how do you follow that? Welcome to the neighborhood. And definitely a neighborhood for me. 24 years of my career spent here. And I just had the best memories ever. Tom, thank you for all those great words. And I am so fortunate to have gotten together with you in terms of music, but also the friendship that we've cultivated. It's just a very deep friendship that I appreciate. Gary DeHita, who's not here tonight, Rebecca Croucher, and Chris Denton, who are people around here when we started the Hall of Fame back just before the pandemic. And I thought, oh no, this is going to take forever. And not knowing how long the pandemic was going to last. But it probably was a good thing because I didn't realize when I said yes what it meant. I had no idea of the legality of starting a nonprofit organization, but I quickly learned and things started to happen. And they're just happening better than ever because of this wonderful board. And I truly appreciate the honor that you're giving me here tonight. May I also extend my congratulations to Steve Butler, who I just met tonight, Todd Hoban, a very good friend of mine, Gemma Tott, Dave Smart, and a former student, Diane Spoto, who I get to spend the morning with today. As past president of this group, it's just so exciting to see the support that continues to happen here from our community, Baldwinsville. Some 40 years ago, I got a bee in my bonnet that I should live here, and shortly after living here, something attracted me to say, okay, your time at middle school is done, let's move on, and just happened to be a position here, and I remember just saying, I have to get this position. I called the music supervisor, who was Ron Kern back then, at least once a week, and he kept saying, well, it's gonna get posted, just wait, just wait. And the phone every week, I thought, I gotta make sure he doesn't forget who I am, because I really wanted to start doing music at a higher level. And the challenge was here, ready to go. The students were ready to go forth. I think they trusted me. From some comments, some people, Tom, am I that ferocious? No, I have a gentle heart for people, but I do believe in bringing the best out of people. And if I see they have talent, I want to work with them. And if I see they have dreams, I want to help them find those dreams. Those are all important. I'm so honored with the colleagues who have been part of the new Hall of Fame, but I look at that wall and I see names of students over the past 25 years of teaching here that are up there because they believed in me and worked with me no matter what the hour of the day was. And it's so good to see them fulfill their dreams. Some of them went on in music and some of them didn't, but some of them found other places to be happy. And that's what it's all about. I just appreciate it. Tonight, former student, 1987 was the last time I saw her, and we got to make some music together this morning, Diane Spoto. How proud am I of you? How proud am I of all my students? For me, if I had to talk about a topic, it would be success as a career, but the success comes from being able to teach students. I think that's probably why I can't retire, because I can't imagine my life without students. They're inspirational, sometimes they're a pain, but most of the time they're willing to go forward and believe in me, because you have to have students that believe in you in order to have a good program. And to put the time, whether it's here in the high school or the college students. I hope you all, some students are here that I taught a long time ago, I hope you realize that I always was thinking about how things would feature you at that final performance. And I like being with my back to the audience, not this way. This is difficult for me. But looking at faces when at the end of Act 1 of Anything Goes, you get a standing ovation for that tap dance number. And you just look at all those smiling faces, and to me, that's what it's all about. That's what education is. For the students that I've taught that are performing now and living that dream of an artist, Jimmy Krishak, Gina Lamparello, Jennifer Maselli, Steve Neff, Rick Edinger, Garrett Heater, and this evening, Diane Spoto, thank you for allowing me to be part of your life and to follow you through, either as a performer, an educator, or in some field of the arts. Once again, I'd just like to thank everyone out here. The job that I came to at Baker, I didn't realize how much it involved. And without the community support, without help from parents and from the students, I don't think the program would have grown as fast as it did. So I just appreciate this community so much. I'd just also like to talk to the Baker High School students there. Thank you to the music teachers and the art teachers for prepping them for tonight. Please take time at the end to look at the artwork. There's some beautiful artwork up here. And thank you to Colin Keating for believing in me and letting me step in front of his students tonight. That's just a real great honor to be back there. I don't even know how many years ago, 20, 23 or something like that. But it's just so rewarding to me. So thank you to the community, to all the parents who helped me get through my career, and especially a great thank you and love to all my students. Thank you.
Our next presenter and friend of mine, Brett Hoban, a graduate of C.W. Baker High School, and our next inductee's son chose to follow in his father's footsteps as a professional musician and studio owner and manager at Hoban Studios. Brett has worked with some top-tier musicians from around the world and been a mentor to many great musicians and producers. You are also going to get a little taste of Brett's bass playing tonight, so I hope you're looking forward to that. We're so pleased to have Brett with us tonight to introduce our next inductee, his dad, Todd Hoban. Brett, come on up.
You'll all have to forgive me. I had a really great speech written and I left my notes at home, so I'm going to keep this really short. A lot can be said about my dad, but from personal experience, we've been best buds for a long time. I've played with him in a band for over 30 years. You'll hear him say that I've been his boss for a while now, which is kind of true. But I know he's really happy to have a couple generations of family here, and we'll just cut to the chase. Todd Hoban. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's my boss. If you do life really, really well, and this has happened to me a number of times, you know, I have students and kids, and if you do your job really well, they become your boss, and life is good. I did not come here tonight to accept an award. It's an honor. But I am here really to honor those who carried me and supported me until now, until tonight. Because without them, there never would have been a Todd Hoban. I got a chance to do a little warm-up with these students here. A lot of people in this room know what I did over the last 60 years of being a professional musician. You know, they've seen me. Maybe I played their prom back in the day. But everybody in the room hears my music. Many people around the world hear my music. They might not know it's me, but it is. And I've been a professional musician since 1962. I know you guys are all doing the math, right? But those that know me and have seen me play and know what I did in my career, well, you know, I'm still doing it. I want to speak to these students that you're going to hear tonight. They're amazing. And the reason I want to speak to them is because I've learned 3 really important things. Really. And unfortunately, it took me 60 years to learn those damn things. So I'm going to tell you right now what you got to prepare for, what you got to deal with, and how you're going to do it. Because if you have a dream of doing this art thing, this music, this drama thing, I want you to dream big, wildly big, beyond your wildest imagination. Whatever it is, dream big, because you just might get there. I did. Number 2, work hard. And I don't mean just work hard. I mean, you give yourself up to it. Your life goes into it. You practice every day. I've been practicing for 60 some odd years. I don't stop. I got to keep my chops up. I'm thrilled I get to play with these people tonight. I am. Man, what a freaking unbelievable thing to do. I get to see the future by playing with these guys. Someday, some of them are going to be lucky enough to do what I did. I always wanted to, I had dreams. I said, gee, I'd really like to play with those people that are on the TV and the radio. I'd really like that. I would like to, meet them or, join a band, something like that. Well, pick 3 or 4, pick 10, pick 15 of the greatest musicians on the earth right now. I did, and I got to meet and play with all of them. They're my friends. Unbelievable. Now, number 3. This took me a while to figure out. Choose your team, your friends, and your family, and cherish them. Make sure they're great. My band most of them are here tonight. And I've had a lot of great people in my band over the years. They're all much better than I am. Choose people who are people you can look up to, people that you believe in. Because that's how you get better, right? They've got to be people of character. And I want you to realize that you're going to cherish those people and love them and take care of them and make sure that their lives are great, because without them, you're nothing. Nothing. I chose my team well. In the 80s, I was on Broadway. My office was 1775 Broadway, and I'm meeting with my management team. And most of my work was New York. That's where the tours came out of. That's where all the good stuff happened, the studios. That's where my life was. And I got together with a family, and I said, we're gonna move to New York, because that's where I work. That's where I gotta be. And my family helped me make the biggest, best decision of my life. Things would have turned out different if I spent the rest of my life on the road and living somewhere off Broadway, right? We decided, of all places, to move to Baldwinsville, New York. And it was the best decision of my life that we made. The very best thing that could have happened to me, because then I knew who I was. I wasn't the guy on stage. I wasn't the guy touring. I was the guy who had a bunch of kids. And we're going to send them to school. And they got a great sports department, and they do musicals, and the kids can learn. And they met a teacher. They all learned from her. And then that teacher chose me to chaperone at events and play for the kids. Best thing ever happened to me. Now that person, that teacher that changed my kid's life, changed my life. We are colleagues, and we've been colleagues for all these years. We teach together at Lemoyne College. It's Carol Jacoby, right? She's everywhere. So moving here was everything, and I just want you to know that I love this town, and I love the fact that I'm a dad here. I love the fact that someday my grandchildren are going to be here. It's a beautiful thing. But let me tell you about some of the people that I love. All the people in all my bands I love. I support them. They made me great. They made me who I am. They made me Todd Oben Band. Honest. I go someplace and people don't say, hey, there's Todd Oben. They go, hey, Todd Oben Band. That's me. That's my band. So when I was in college, I chose some really great people to hang with, okay? Chuck Lorre was in my band, okay? Now, some of you people know who Chuck Lorre is. Great writer. We taught each other how to write. I still write music, as does he, but he writes The Big Bang Theory. Look him up sometime. You're not going to believe who he is. Chuck Lorre. My roommate was Bob Christensen. I still write and love Bob Christensen to this day. You can look him up too, Wikipedia pages. Got here, built a studio, and I got to meet one of the best friends of my life, who we write together and we hang together. Bruce Colville and I are like really tight. And then Doug Moncrief. Doug. No. Without Doug, there never would have been a Todd Oben. This Hall of Fame thing, it's about Doug. It's about my band. It's about all these people that supported me. It's about my family. My family's here tonight, those that are in town. Yes, my son Brett is already a legend. Corey. Carol let Corey run the PA system for all the musicals and stuff, and he became really good. And I get to work with my sons. It's like, this is unbelievable that I get to do this. Brianna's here. Brianna was on this stage, acting. Shayna also came here, and she's a working musician. That's why she's not here tonight. She's working. Jesse is here. Jesse. You found me. Best moment of my life. And all these people, that's what this word is about. Because someday, in the very near future, the next generation of Hobens is going to be dancing on this stage. Lyra and Vega. And they're going to walk down the hall, and my picture's going to be up there. And their friends are going to say, hey, he's a Hoban. You're a Hoban. Why is he up on the wall? And what they're going to say is, well, he's got a lot of stories. But basically, he's just Grandpa Todd. I came to Baldwinsville, and I accept this wonderful honor tonight as Grandpa Todd. Thanks, guys.
For our first performance this evening, to perform Carnival of Venice, Opus number 14, I'm pleased to welcome class of 2026 Hall of Fame inductees, Carol Jacoby on piano and Miss Diane Spoto on flute. Please welcome them. That was incredible. I'm just having such a good time up here. Like there's all this emotion. I'm looking over at people to my left and right, and I just want you to know how much joy it brings this group of people, to be able to have a small part in recognizing the talent and the folks that are here tonight. So just thank you all so much for being here. That was incredible. Thank you. I do want to say a quick thank you to Mr. Josh Reed, our auditorium coordinator who's doing sound and lights tonight. Josh, you're fantastic. Thank you very much. Our next presenter planned on being with us tonight in person, but unfortunately was unable to make the trip. She, however, felt so strongly about being a part of honoring our next inductee that she will do so via video. Dr. Jennifer Scott Maselli, a 2024 inductee to our Hall of Fame, sees our next inductee as extended family and is pleased to share her introduction, which explains their decades-long connection and honors tonight's inductee, Diane Spoto, who you just heard that amazing, amazing piece. Go ahead, Josh.
Good evening, esteemed board, inductees, and guests. My name is Dr. Jennifer Scott Maselli, and it is my pleasure to welcome to the Baldwinsville Hall of Fame for Visual and Performing Arts, Ms. Diane Spoto. A fellow Beeville-bred flutist, I am aware of Diane's elevated playing and her overall musicianship. She is at once a professional and highly skilled orchestral flutist, editor, teacher, and singer, with a deep understanding of diverse performance demands, industry standards, and editorial fluency. Possessing degrees in flute performance from New England Conservatory in 1993 and Mannes College of Music in 1997, Diane quickly climbed the music industry ladder at Sony Music Entertainment and in New York City-based entrepreneurial settings during the late 90s and early 2000s, where she functioned in various capacities, including editor for widely known industry publications, singer-songwriter, and electric flute performer spanning pop, funk, folk, trip-hop, and electronica styles. From 2013 to 2021, Diane taught flute lessons, preschool music, and day camp music, and performed with local orchestras on Long Island at Tillis Center and at Lincoln Center, while raising her daughter Nikki and continuing to freelance as a music journalist and editor. Her classical flute career continued to grow after she returned to Boston in 2022, where she is making a living as a freelance flutist, performing regularly with well-reputed orchestras including Boston Philharmonic, Portland Symphony Orchestra, Boston Modern Orchestra Project, Vista Philharmonic, and Orchestra for Andrea Bocelli, Berkshire Choral Orchestra, Teatro Lirico Opera Orchestra, Alea 3, and more. In addition, she is on the flute faculty of New England Conservatory's Preparatory Division. Beyond her obvious and impressive work in music, Diane is a kind and humble person. Our late mothers were friends through Baldwinsville Theater Guild, and her older brother Bob and his wife Marjorie, aka Tootsie, are among my husband's and my closest and most long-standing friends. Consequently, there is a level of awareness of Diane's musical gifts through the family/friends lens beyond that which is obvious on her resume. For example, I have fond memories of hearing Diane perform at her father's 70th birthday party, and more recently at her mother's funeral, where she played together with her brother Jim, who is also a professional musician. In both instances, I was struck by Diane's artistry, composure, and sensitive phrasing, specially crafted to honor her late parents, Big T and Chicky. She played with respect, deep love, and pride for her family. Speaking of family, Diane kindly exonerated my guilt for having to miss this evening's induction and graciously bestowed upon me the title of Honorary Spoto, which I presume comes with all the perks befitting a family of Italian-Polish descent, such as Sunday sauce, pinola cookies, pierogi, and too much red wine, all of which I anticipate with great delight. In closing, Diane, please know that you have made your hometown, your friends, your teachers, your extended family, your blood siblings, your honorary sibling, Tony, Nikki, and especially your folks and the great beyond so very proud of you today and every day. Congratulations on being inducted into the Baldwinsville Hall of Fame for Visual and Performing Arts. You truly deserve this honor.
Thank you so much. This is the hard part. I hate public speaking. I hate it. So I have a little, I'm reading it verbatim. I feel like I'm in 7th grade doing my speech on bald eagles. Let me see if I can find it here. All right. Bear with me now. I'm just going to read the thing. Can you hear me? Is that okay? Okay. Oh, Lord. All right. First of all, thank you to Jennifer Maselli for this great speech and for her support. She was a role model for me. She was a senior with my brother Bob, and I was in 7th grade, and I remembered I was going to Ray Junior High, and I got to ride the bus with my brother, a Spoto, another Spoto, because I'm the youngest of 6, so I got to ride the bus with him, and I thought, I've made it, I'm cool now. I've got the high schoolers, the seniors are on the bus with me, and Jenny Maselli got on, Jenny Scott at the time, and I just remember her getting on, and she was so glamorous, and she was holding her Haynes flute case, and she was just such a star in my eyes, and I really just wanted to be like her, and I always looked up to her, so it's a great honor for me to have her make this speech. This stage here at Baker High is the first stage I ever sang on. And it's the first time I felt the thrill of holding a mic in my hand. It's the first stage I ever played to an audience on that yelled and clapped for me being my most authentic self. And I remember when I was a member of Carol Jacoby's Silk and Satin Vocal Jazz Group in high school, we sang in an assembly right here in this auditorium during the school day. So it was all the students that were in the audience. And you remember those assemblies where you're forced to pile in at the end of a long day. Everyone's, passing notes and talking. No one's paying attention. People are chewing gum. It's just a mess. And I had to get up there and sing a solo in front of everybody. It wasn't my mom sitting there smiling. It was all of my colleagues. And I sang Basin Street Blues. I'll never forget it. Dave DeCiro was on drums, John Lamoran was on bass, Carol Jacoby on piano, and I loved that song. And Carol, she gave me that go for it look, and so I did. I went for it. And I mustered up as much blues as a 17-year-old suburban girl from Village Green could muster. And I took a scat solo, and I felt so lost in the music. And when I opened my eyes, I saw the entire student body smiling and clapping along and waving their arms back and forth, and they were totally digging it. I couldn't believe it. And for a brief moment, I thought, are they making fun of me? Like, what? They weren't. They were into it. And I saw teachers, and it was just an incredible moment for me. I got a standing ovation. My peers, jocks, science kids, greasers, teachers digging my vibe. And I knew in that moment that I just had to make music my career. And Carol pushed me to do things that were a little scary and unfamiliar. She was the one who recognized my calling to perform, and she would not let me stray from it. And I owe everything to the fine music teachers of the Baldwinsville Central School District and to my parents for their complete support of my path. They knew I certainly would not be making a career in anything else with my math grades, so they probably had no choice. But today is the first time I've ever faced an audience from this stage without my mom and dad sitting in it. watching and supporting me. And I owe everything to my mother and father, Arlene and Anthony Spoto. My parents had 6 children together, and I'm the youngest of those 6, and I feel confident speaking on behalf of all 6 of us kids when I say our mother and father were in the audience for every event, whether music, sports, driving us to and from. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, but we were so rich in love and devotion. They were there for us no matter what. That kind of belief in us kids is what made us feel we could chase our dreams and be the best at whatever life chose, whether it was to be a musician or a hotel manager or a parent, a small business owner, or whatever it was that we wanted. They taught us that determination and hard work pays off and that family comes first. Last year, I had the honor of being invited to play principal flute with the Boston Philharmonic in Symphony Hall in Boston. I was so thrilled, and I told my brother Bob, if only Mom and Dad could be here to see this. And do you know what happened? Do you know what he did? He and my siblings and many nieces and nephews gathered together under one roof, my brother's house, in Syracuse, and he bought the live stream of the concert, and everyone gathered together and watched me perform in Boston from Central New York, cheering me on. They supported me as my parents would have. They were sharing screenshots on Facebook and texting me about it. That kind of family love is something very rare and very, very special. Jim, Tom, Ron, Sandy, and Bob, and their beautiful families carry on the tradition of family values that our parents held. And I felt my family with me on stage that night. I felt them cheering me on, and it gave me courage, and it meant the world to me. And the ones who live here in Central New York are here tonight, and my brother Bob just surprised me. He flew in from Key West, Florida. He just showed up. I couldn't believe it, and they're here tonight, and I love you guys so much. My big sister Sandy was a star cheerleader in school, so it's no surprise she was always cheering me on as a little girl, and I'll never forget when I was in first grade, she came to my elementary school. I went to Reynolds, and she came to school. It was like some kind of teen career day or something. I don't exactly remember what, but she was with me all day in the class. And she accompanied me to my music class with Miss Lunt. I don't know if anyone remembers her, but she was the general music teacher at Reynolds back in the 70s, and she was amazing. And my sister Sandy volunteered me to sing America the Beautiful, and in front of the entire class, and I was so scared. I don't think anybody heard me. I was probably whispering the song, but I count that as my first ever performance, thanks to Sandy. Sis boom ba. Jim, my oldest brother Jim, is a professional saxophonist, an amazing musician, and when I was in second grade, he was an undergrad at the Eastman School of Music, and he came home with his classmates one weekend, and he set up a rehearsal in our living room. I mean, a drum kit, amplifiers, bass, the whole thing. It was so loud. It was just the coolest thing. And he was learning to double on flute while he was there as a sax player. So he had this flute and in a case, and he put it on my lap, and he said, Diane, hold on to this for me. Second grade. It was the first time I had ever seen a real flute in the flesh. I opened up the case. It was like the heavens opened up and shone down on this little instrument, and that was it. I knew that I had to play that instrument in that moment. I had to wait 2 long years for 4th grade to play the flute, but I chose the flute, and Phil Sterling was my band teacher, and he took me under his wing, and he showed me the ropes. He gave me a cleaning cloth for Christmas. I don't have it anymore, but I'll never forget. He was just so supportive, and that was the beginning of a lifelong love affair with this beautiful little instrument. I want to thank my 2nd grade teacher who is here tonight, Mrs. Colin, the next teacher to inspire me. She was my 2nd grade teacher, and I would like to read my editor's letter when I was the editor-in-chief of Women Who Rock magazine, and this was published in 2003. But it's very short, and I would like to read it because it's in honor of Mrs. Colin. I love you, Mrs. Colin. Defining moments, we've all had them. You know those 4 or 5 standout moments in your life that, for better or for worse, define who you are, who you will become. There's a defining moment in my life that ties in with the theme of this magazine, and it has to do with my second grade teacher, Mrs. Colin, a favorite teacher of mine and one of the kindest, gentlest, most compassionate women I have ever met. And she helped teach me one of life's greatest lessons when I was just 8 years old. 2 years out of Mrs. Colin's class in 4th grade, I decided to take up the flute and join the school band. One day, she asked me in that soft voice of hers if I'd stay after school to help her with something. Of course I said yes. I adored Mrs. Colin. When I entered her classroom, she was sitting at a big table in the back. Her warm smile welcomed me in. "Diane, your band teacher has told me how well you are doing on the flute. I'm so proud of you." She said that to me just tonight, too. She continued, "I just started playing the flute myself. I'm only a beginner, though. I'm in the adult community band." Then she asked me, "Would you teach me a little bit about how to play the flute, just a little better?" And that was my defining moment. My teacher was asking me, her 8-year-old student, the youngest of 6, for a lesson. But she ended up the teacher that day after all. The lesson I learned, well, it's indescribable, but it has something to do with self-worth. And we sat there for an hour with our flutes, and I showed her everything that I knew, not much. She listened respectfully, and she tried to emulate how I played. I remember telling her to make a squirrel face or something. But she listened respectfully, and she tried to emulate how I played. And just to explain the profundity of that experience in words wouldn't do it justice. And that moment took seed in my heart and grew to inspire me to this day to have a voice of my own. Wands, Norm Wanzer. Everybody, I think every Spoto had him for a band teacher. Probably everybody in this room had him for a band teacher at one point or another. He was a mentor to my big brother Jim, and he became a family friend. Christmas Eve was always a really big deal in my family. And we'd have a feast, and the house was filled with family and friends, and some neighbors would come over, and Wands would inevitably stop over every Christmas Eve from the time I was a very young girl. So when I found out he was going to be my band teacher at Ray Junior High in 7th grade, I was psyched. The first time I walked into that band room, which would become my second home, he said, "Okay, here comes the youngest of the litter," and that is how he still refers to me to this day. Wands always treated me with respect, never like a stupid little girl. He saw my potential and my sometimes flakiness. He pushed me, he encouraged me, he made me laugh, and he always showed me that practicing slowly, intelligently, diligently was the way to success. That said, he could play every major scale on a flute in under a minute, and he never hesitated to show me and the rest of the band room that skill. And I was very impressed and inspired, to say the least. And in 8th grade, he put an oboe case in my hand, and he told me to go take it home, play around with it. Flutists are a dime a dozen, but a good oboist is less common and in demand. You'll get more work, trust me. I had a love affair with the flute from 2nd grade, so I wasn't hopeful. I was less hopeful when I went up to my room after school that day and honked into this double reed, and the sound of a very loud and sad duck came out. But thank you for trying, Wands. Still trying to get work, but maybe if I played the oboe. After every band concert driving home, my mom and my dad would always say, you know, the musicality pulls out of those kids. It's just amazing. My dad would always say, I know. Wands is really a genius. I mean, this guy built buses in his yard and cars and instruments, and he put things together and took them apart and put them together again. And one time in the band room, I remember the shoulder strap of my sundress came apart. I bought it at Ames with my birthday money in Beeville. And I panicked, you know. I'm like, oh, what do I do? I was so dramatic. He just came over with a stapler. Click, we're done. Go, get out of here. When that's like Wands in a nutshell. Just thinking in the moment. When we lost our beloved dad in 2005, Wands was one of the first ones to show up at the wake, dependable, loving, and supportive as he always has been to the family. I was living on my own in New York City for the first time in many, many years, and in the months following this profound loss, Wands would call me up on my cell phone just to chat, check in on me, tell stories, you know, shoot the stuff. He was like a surrogate dad. He stepped in as a surrogate dad to me then, and I will never forget his quiet and dependable protection. Thank you, Wands. I love you. Then in 2022, we lost our beautiful mother, my best friend, my biggest supporter. And do you know, he was one of the first ones once again to walk into the wake, and he stayed for hours talking and being a loving presence and family member alongside of us. His love and support for the Spoto family goes unmatched, and I will never forget that. My parents loved Wands and counted him as an honorary member of the Spoto family. And last but not least, Carol Jacoby. Oh my gosh, where do I begin? Carol was a very powerful influence in my adolescence in high school. Let's just say my persona in high school was a little flighty, effervescent, let's say. I learned quickly that sweet and silly Diane may have gotten me out of a lot of hard work, tardiness, bad test grades. You know, my disorganization was sometimes forgiven because I'd make a stupid joke. I was always losing my books, forgetting my theory homework, but Carol sat me down, okay? She gave me the talk. She knew what I wanted to do with my life, and she showed me that simply bouncing around, relying on my talent with no effort would not produce long-term success. She demanded my effort. She demanded I live up to my potential. She saw things in me that nobody else seemed to recognize up to that point, and she demanded I sit with the discomfort of working hard with something that might not come naturally at first or isn't fun. Hello, music theory. Hello, counterpoint. With Carol, our vocal jazz group Silk and Satin won awards. We sang at the Civic Center in Syracuse, and for the first time I went to New York City. Ooh, it was amazing. That stuck with me, and I ended up living there for 20 years. We went on a school trip. We sang in the Bahamas. These experiences stay with you forever. They shape you. Carol made these life moments happen for us. She worked so hard for us, and she was the most dependable and talented teacher and a high schooler could ask for. How lucky were we to have her? The music department at Baker High was a thriving, exciting, cool place to be, and I fantasized an adult life of music within the walls of her classroom. She was the one who helped me make them come true. And I'll never forget the day senior year that I didn't win what I thought was my dream college audition. I was in the school practice room bawling my eyes out, and she came in, she sat down with me, and she hugged me, and then she told me about an important job interview for her that did not go her way. It was like her dream job, and she really, really wanted it, but she didn't get it. So she persevered. She said, all right, that wasn't meant for me, but something else out there is. And she told me how she won this dream job at Baker, at Beeville. And all of a sudden, those other losses just didn't matter anymore. And she told me, this isn't the time to give up. This is the time to work harder, to prove to myself that I can do it. She believed in my talent and in my potential. And that moment shaped me as a young woman in college to go on and to not give up. So thank you, Carol. I love you. Lastly, I would like to thank the loves of my life, Anthony D'Amico, my fiance, and my daughter, Nikki, who are here. Anthony and I met in 1989 as college students at New England Conservatory, but it was not until the pandemic that we reconnected on Facebook and fell in love. He's a gifted bassist in Boston in his own right, and his unwavering support and belief in me has helped me reshape my orchestral career in recent years. To be able to speak the same language when it comes to art, music, and passion is something I never really knew before. And I know my dad would be so happy to know that his baby is finally being so well taken care of. And last but not least, my beautiful daughter, Nikki, Nicolette Starr. I never thought I would have the chance to become a mom. I was so busy chasing my career dreams, hopping from here to there, one job to another. And at almost 44 years old, she lit up my world. She puts up with my evening piccolo practice sessions from the other room while she's trying to watch a TV show. She's my fashion consultant for performance wear. She never complains when I have a late night gig, and I have some late night gigs, because she knows how important it is to me. She is enormously talented in her own right, and it is my honor to watch her grow and become her own person. But so far, being her mom is the very best gig that I have ever had. And I would sincerely like to thank the board of directors for selecting me among those to receive this honor of being inducted into the Baldwinsville Community Hall of Fame. And thank you to Carol Jacoby for nominating me. And lastly, I want to just say a quick word to the students that are here tonight. My dad printed out this little poem many, many years ago. And he printed it out. He got a new printer, so he was able to print, 4 things, like in columns, which he thought was so cool. And he cut them into little pieces, and he handed them out to all 6 of us kids. And still to this day, I have this little tattered, discolored little piece of paper, this poem with a magnet on my refrigerator, and I see it every single morning when I make my coffee. So to all the students who wonder if they could or should go for it, here are some words from my dad. And now from me to you. Think positively. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think that you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win, but you think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you've lost. For out in the world, you'll find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in a state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man. But sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Thank you.
Wow. What an evening so far. Thank you, everybody. So, moving on, Burl Wells has known Stephen Butler since childhood, as their families were close friends, and later connected through a shared passion for serving our community. Having witnessed Stephen's career evolve and its impact that it has had on the arts community, Burl was inspired to nominate Steve for the Baldwinsville Community Hall of Fame for Visual and Performing Arts. After reading Stephen's bio in your program, it's easy to see why he's part of this year's distinguished class. Please join me in welcoming Burl Wells as he presents to Stephen Butler.
Good evening, everybody. There have been some great speakers tonight. I just am so amazed at your passion. And I think I wanted to talk about my sister Cindy had mentioned a little bit earlier how there has been, I'm kind of going off my cards right now, but Baldwinsville is such a great community. And the fact that the arts bring a lot of us together is just wonderful. I certainly wasn't a musician, but I was in school when Carol first started. I can remember a lot of my friends singing in Silk and Satin. And I think one of the first musicals was The Wiz, and I was just amazed. I think I went every single time to watch my friends perform. It was just an amazing experience. But I'm here tonight because I have been friends with Steve Butler for over 4 or 5 decades. As Rebecca said, our families have been friends for a long time. And I was sitting here last year, and my sister was one of the inductees, as well as my former teacher, Sally Dager, and my godfather, who was a former band director, Bob Whitman, and then a childhood friend of my dad, Rosemary Nesbitt. And I also knew Stu Hostler. So I was sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, Baldwinsville is such a fantastic and wonderful place to grow up. Look at all these amazing people that have contributed to the arts in Baldwinsville. And I was sitting there and I thought, oh my God, Steve Butler is a friend of mine. I've got to nominate him. He's just an amazing person. I've known him for decades, but I didn't know a lot of the things that he had done before he moved back to Central New York in the early 2000s. He started out being very interested in theater as an elementary student, and was nurtured by the teachers in Baldwinsville and encouraged them. That's something that has kind of been mentioned here already. As an alum of Baldwinsville, I'm not even reading my notes, I'm just going to talk. We have been so fortunate as former students in this district to be nurtured along the way, to be supported along the way by all of our teachers. Of course, we're here tonight to celebrate the arts in Baldwinsville, and I just want to talk about a few things that Steve has done. If you do look at his resume, it's quite impressive. I didn't know about a lot of the things that he did in New York City, but he'll talk about that. But what I do want to mention is some of you may know that he recently stepped down as the director of Central New York Arts. And I wrote down 3 things that he did. He's had such an impact on the lives of so many people. One of the big accomplishments that he did was including securing $1 million in relief funding during COVID for the local arts community. He also grew Central New York Arts into the largest regional arts council in the entire state of New York. That's no small feat. And in a 6-year period, he raised over $11 million for filmmaking in our region. Those are just a few of the things on his resume, which is quite amazing. I could go on and on, but I will leave the rest to Steve, because I'm sure he has some great stories to tell. So Steve, I congratulate you. I'm so honored that you're my friend, and I'm so honored that this committee chose you to induct you into the Hall of Fame. So congratulations, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Hello, everybody. Couple of things. I was told by Garrett Heater that I could not talk over 5 minutes, and as a thespian, I always follow what my director tells me to do. So I'm going to be a little shorter tonight. And the other thing that I know from my staffs and my long years in the trenches, that I must never go off script. So I'm on script tonight. I want to thank you, Burl, for your kind introduction in the years. And I also want to thank the board members here of the Baldwinsville Community Hall of Fame for visual, oh yes, that got knocked on the side, didn't it, a little while ago. I want to thank the board members of the Baldwinsville Community Hall of Fame for Visual and Performing Arts for this honor. And I want to acknowledge what tremendous talent is here tonight. I am humbled and honored to be included. Also, it's so fun to be back here at Baker High School, where I trod the boards, right where so much of my life was put in motion, school. When I started school, I was 4 years old. There I was, a chubby, left-handed 4-year-old child with a speech impediment. Also, I heard the beat of a different drummer. Now, I couldn't articulate that as a child, but I understood it as children do. So as you might imagine, children was a challenge for me. It felt very difficult, and I was very anxious, particularly on gym days. So what got me through? Art. The days that there was chorus or art lessons were my favorite days. As the years went on, I excelled in the arts, singing in the holiday concerts, acting in the class plays, even square dancing. In high school, there were more opportunities, and eventually I was totally consumed by theater. Fortunately, C.W. Baker had a robust drama program, classes and schools and plays and musicals done with the drama club. I thank this school district and all of the art and music and drama teachers that I had for all of this. Mr. Barden, Mrs. Basil, so many others. Art was also the reason that I went to college. After some talks, my parents agreed I could major in theater, and so I agreed I would go. Getting this degree led me to New York City and the life and career that I had. I started as an actor, added stage management, got into the union, then I moved into theater management, and I was given a fellowship at the National Endowment for the Arts, and I began to move into arts policy. In my last job before I left New York City, I led a drama therapy agency attached to Mount Sinai Hospital's Department of Psychiatry. The patients we worked with throughout the tri-state area often received their treatment in seclusion. These are units that are considered for those who are a danger to themselves and to others. I saw firsthand how drama therapy brought these patients to better places emotionally. Creative thinking, sharing their stories through improvisation, and then imagining how to go forward in a new way. Our commissioned independent studies demonstrated that the patients we worked with left the hospital with a toolkit, and they used this to cope with stressful situations and achieve better outcomes. I connected the dots. The patient's positive experiences through drama therapy were much like what I had experienced through school arts activities, helping me to cope with my difficulties. The arts programs are what kept me going, kept me showing up, gave me hope. And I realized that everyone, children and adults of all ages, could experience art in the same restorative way. And knowing this is what guided me when I led the Regional Arts Council, CNY Arts, raising as much money as possible to create more art across the region and better access to arts activities for everyone. Now, I know I may be preaching to the choir, but I want to remind everyone that when times get tough and budgets are constrained, it is often the arts programs that are cut first, including in schools. Yet in addition to the community engagement, the empathy developed, and the restorative experiences that the arts create, the statistical benefits of arts in schools are well known. Here's just a few. Students with higher arts participation have better attendance and a lower dropout rate. Students who take 4 years of art and music classes score an average of 150 points higher on their SATs than students who only take 1/2 year or less of art classes. And lower income students, highly engaged in the arts, are twice as likely to graduate college as their peers with no arts education. I ask everyone to please be vigilant about making sure that arts funding for children and youth in our schools remains. Also, please be vigilant that all the community arts funding, which often comes through governments and corporations, remains, or better yet, increases, because it serves everyone, because art is the answer. In closing, I again want to congratulate the awardees here tonight and thank the Board of Directors, Burl, and all of you that came here to celebrate. I also want to express my sincere gratitude to my family and friends, those that are here and those that have moved on, as well as colleagues and the teachers that I had throughout my school career in Baldwinsville. Thank you all for letting me be me.
Congratulations again, Stephen. Our next performance by the Lemoyne College Salt City Voices is conducted by Hall of Fame inductee Carol Jacoby and will feature Steve Orlando on the drums, Brett Hoban on the bass, and Bill DeCosmo on piano. The artwork of our final two inductees, David Joshua Smart and Jennifer Matad. Their artwork will also be featured during this number on our screens. Please join me in welcoming the Lemoyne College Salt City Singers and Carol Jacoby. with Sailing Home. Thank you all so much. That was absolutely beautiful. Our next presenter, Edwina Hay, a retired English teacher at Durgee Junior High, asked her artistic friends for ideas of who to hire for a very special project. More than one gave the same answer: David Joshua Smart, a well-known and respected artist celebrated for his paintings and murals. Edwina reached out, and the rest is history. Here to tell us more about David and his incredible talent, please welcome Edwina Hay.
The other day, while scrolling through social media, I saw a quote that I thought, this fits. Part of the quote is, art should be brave. When any artist puts his or her work out there, it is judged and criticized. If art is to be brave, then David Smart and his work certainly are prime examples of bravery. His work is bold, expressive, colorful, very large, and very visible throughout our community. Talk about brave. What particularly makes his artwork brave is that David has had no formal training. The skills he uses are the skills he learned from the teachers here in Baldwinsville. What makes David particularly unique is that he does not use any projectors or graphs to create his large-scale murals. People with backgrounds in art have watched him and are amazed at his ability to paint many different aspects of his mural, seemingly without any planning. Much of David's murals come from his heart and head. Skill beyond public high school is self-taught, and it appears to work for him. He makes it look easy. Art should be brave. Just because David makes his work look easy doesn't mean that it is. As a student, David found socialization an issue. On the autism spectrum, he found school somewhat daunting. Crowds bothered him. He would eat in the bathroom because noises and information that seemed to be surrounding him made him extremely uncomfortable. And he said that tonight's award will be a true test for him. David told me he spent many nights sleeping on scaffolding because art had lit a fire underneath him, and he didn't want to waste time. Many times he painted 7 days a week for 18 hours a day. And holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving were no different. He found comfort with his paint, his solitude, and the empty canvas in front of him. Before the world of creativity and art opened up to him, he described his life as hell. After high school, he joined the military, but it probably was not the best decision for a young man who didn't like crowds or fast-paced information thrown at him. Consequently, David found himself in a very dark place, which resulted in severe depression, which he acted on. He can't tell you what happened because his brain was so injured, he ended up in a trauma center in Texas with no hope of recovery. Before taking him off life support, his family came to say their goodbyes. He awoke from a coma to see his family crying. The staff had firmly believed what they saw that day was a miracle because they certainly had no hope for him at all. Now David had to have the long journey to recovery. And part of that recovery effort was an introduction to art therapy. It certainly didn't take long for the art therapist and David to realize he was a savant, able to create works of art without formal training or skills. He has no explanation for creating the beautiful shapes and colors. When he had to paint faces he had never done before, he decided he had to teach himself. But if you go to the hometown pub in Radisson and look at the mural that David painted, you will be able to recognize Carl Sanfilippo. I met David last year. My dad was going to be 94, and my sister and I had no idea what to give a man who has dementia and needs 24-hour care. What do you give him for his birthday? I asked on Facebook, where else would you go, who could help me out? Many of my friends who are artists or could have helped me out decided, as I had, that my days of climbing on ladders were over. They had made the same decision. Finally, John Bick, who is an instrumental person in David's life, a former teacher who never gave up on David, suggested him to me. The rest is history. There's a beautiful sunflower. In fact, it was presented tonight in the slideshow. It brought tears to my eyes. It's a beautiful sunflower on the back of an old garage on the farm. It is visible from Route 690, and hundreds of people see it every day. David's passion to paint and express himself through his work is very apparent. He credits his family, his school art teachers, and John Bick. David would most likely agree with George O'Keeffe, who said, "I have things in my head that are not like anyone else has taught me, shapes and ideas near to me, so natural to my way of being and thinking that it hasn't occurred to me to put them down. I know now that most people are so closely concerned with themselves that they are not aware of their own individuality. I can see myself, and it has helped me to say what I want to say in paint. Art should be brave." Congratulations, David.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not used to doing this part at all. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't ever think I'd be up here for something like this. So if I ramble a little, just bear with me. Wow, you really can't see anybody out there. That works out a lot. And for a long time, one of my favorite quotes is from Charles Bukowski: "Find something you love and let it kill you." And for a long time, I didn't get that. But then I found art, and it didn't kill me. It actually saved me. It pulled me out of chaos and out of darkness and gave me something real to hold on to when I didn't have anything else. There was this moment painting the pagoda where I touched the wall with a brush and just thought, there it is, that's home. Not like where you live, but where you finally feel like yourself. I've been chasing that feeling ever since, in every painting. And people always say it takes a village, and yeah, that's true, because there's no way I pulled this off alone. I mean, some of you probably deserve partial and a lot of credit, or at least a warning label. But seriously, this wasn't meant for just me. Art pulled me out of, I'm sorry. Oh, did it twice? I'm gonna go completely off script now. So, I've only been painting for 7 years, and that kind of blows me away that I'm up here. So, my mom always gets upset because I have paint all over me all the time. But, so I was actually going to wear, my mural pants that I always wear on the last day of every mural, which are schlacked with paint, because it's like the end of that. And I was going to wear those tonight, and then I was like, well, this really isn't the end. It's kind of the beginning for me. Because I really don't know where my potential is, but I really credit this community with everything that has made me who I am today. And there's so many people to thank that I would go on forever. But because art saved my life. And if anything I can create can give even a little of that feeling back to someone else, then I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So thank you for believing in me, for supporting me, and for being part of the reason I'm standing here today. Because at the end of the day, I didn't find art, it found me, and it brought me home. So, thank you.
Wow, again, congratulations. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our next presenters, Cynthia Wells and Aaron Gerdek, who have each known our final honoree, Jennifer Matat Vogel, for many years, both personally and professionally. When they learned Jen would be inducted into the Hall of Fame, they enthusiastically stated they were going to be the ones to present her the award. So, with great admiration and appreciation for you, Jen, we welcome Cynthia Wells and Aaron Gerdick to the podium.
Can you hear us? Okay, I've known Jennifer Matat since she was 13 years old, and now she is a very dear friend. She was one of my students at Derby Junior High School. Jen was one of those students who didn't want 9-inch by 12-inch paper or 12-inch by 18-inch paper. She wanted 18 by 24-inch paper to work on. Always inquisitive, she would ask to use art materials no one else wanted to touch. She would think of new ideas or innovative or creative ways to use art materials and subject matter, while building skills and thinking outside the box. Today, she brings those qualities, knowledge, and much more to her students at Liverpool High School and to her own artwork.
And my connection with Jen goes all the way back to our high school days. I remember her well, the girl with the waist-long hair and big smile, who was part of the Future Artists Club. While our paths in the arts took different directions, she in the visual arts programs and I in the music programs, we still shared the same creative corner of the school. We were both part of the marching band program, where Jen served as the captain of the dance corps, bringing energy, leadership, and artistry to every performance. Although our high school interests were different, it was clear that even then, Jen had a passion for the arts and a dedication that set her apart. Years later, our paths crossed again when I was subbing at Liverpool schools. Since then, I've had the pleasure of following Jen's remarkable accomplishments and contributions to the arts and arts education. Through social media and professional circles, I've watched her continue to inspire students and fellow educators alike, presenting at New York State Art Teachers Association conferences, leading professional development workshops, and participating in summer art retreats dedicated to creativity and growth. Most recently, on January 20th of this year, I saw that she posted, she received the Scholastic Art Teacher Recognition Award, an honor that reflects the profound impact she has had on her students in the arts community. And somehow, she has done all of this while raising 2 sons who have kept her just as busy with their own activities, including multiple sports and travel teams. Honestly, I get tired just trying to keep up with her accomplishments. And I'd really like to know, when does Jen sleep? Do you sleep, Jen? Jen's passion, dedication, and commitment to nurturing creativity in others make her a truly deserving honoree tonight. Please join me in celebrating and welcoming to the Baldwinsville Community Hall of Fame for Visual and Performing Arts, Jen Vogel-Matat.
Well, I wrote something, but I'll probably go off script as well. I am deeply honored and truly humbled to stand before you tonight as the recipient of this Fine Arts Hall of Fame award. To be recognized by a community that shaped me. I mean, I grew up in Baldwinsville all the way from age 3 until I got married, living in Radisson, biking those paths, riding the bus a long way to McNamara Elementary, and enjoying every single arts opportunity I could possibly get into. Not only as a young artist, but as a person, this community has meant more to me than I can fully express. This award is not mine alone, and like all the other recipients have said, it takes a village, it takes a lot of people behind you and supporting you. It belongs to all the mentors who guided me, and the colleagues who inspire me, the students who challenge and teach me in return, the community that continues to value and support the arts. I'm especially grateful to my former teachers who planted the seeds and grew both my career and my passion as an artist and an educator. As an alumni, it was kind of strange to walk into this building and go, oh my gosh, I remember that. Oh, that looks so different. Because it has changed, just like we all do. This was the place where I first learned to see the world differently, to notice light, texture, emotions, and the stories hidden behind the everyday moments. It was here when my art teachers encouraged me to take risks, and sometimes that was really hard, to trust my voice, to understand that art is not about perfection, and I was a perfectionist, but about connection. And I've tried my best to pass them on to other students. That foundation has stayed with me every step of the way. Cindy Wells, Chip Miller, Karen Shunk, Patty Johnson, Deb Lynch, and all the others who are not here with us anymore, Mr. Thompson at McNamara. I appreciate you all. You are my inspiration and the reason I became an art educator. I spent endless hours in their rooms, Mrs. Darmstetter, as well as I spent lunches there. Anytime I could spend in the art rooms, I would be there. I won't ever forget your kindness, encouragement, and lessons. Now as an art teacher in the neighboring district of Liverpool, I've spent my entire career there, and I have the privilege of carrying on that same mission. Every day I step into my classroom hoping to give my students what was given to me: the confidence to create, the courage to express themselves, the belief that their perspective matters and their voice matters. Teaching art is not just about techniques or materials, it's about helping students discover who they are and how they fit into the world. And sometimes that's a scary place. But I hope that my room is a safe place. I am in the high school, and my room is one of the largest rooms, so I always fit quite a few students in there. People come and eat lunch in my room. I would hope that they feel so comfortable that they know that they can always stop in and say hi, and they do, including my own son. To my students, past and present, you are the heart of this honor. You challenged me, inspired me, and reminded me why art matters. Every time you picked up a brush, a pencil, or simply dared to share an idea, you brought something new into this world. Watching you discover your own creative power has been the greatest privilege of my life. To my Liverpool Fine Arts colleagues in this incredible community of Central New York, especially Baldwinsville, where I lived for many years growing up, thank you for believing in the importance of the arts, even when it's not always easy. You've created spaces where imagination can thrive, and I'm proud to have been part of that. I'm so grateful for my administration, Adam Shachow, who's here, that continues to advocate for our programs and supports our students' work. And Adam knows I am not quiet about that. I'm a loud advocate for the arts. I also want to thank, community like the CNY Arts. I did receive grants to create work and also to host events with that money, and I really appreciate that. And to my family, thank you for your endless patience, encouragement, and love. You've supported every late night, and there were many, every messy studio, and there continues to be such, and every moment of doubt along the way. My husband, Matt, of 26 years, has spent many hours, helping me to finish a project, to prep for my classes, especially when I taught elementary. My two boys, Mark, who's graduating from Canisius University this May, which I can't believe I have a senior in college at the moment, and Christopher, who is constantly just amazing me with all of his talents and his smart mouth. He's always not in that way. He's a very smart kid, and sometimes he challenges and he also inspires. You have also helped me with my huge projects, moving my classroom several times into different buildings, and listened to my creative ideas. They're my greatest cheerleaders. I love you all. My mom and dad, who are in Florida now, but have supported me all the way through. They never made me feel like the arts were not an area that I could succeed in. It was always supportive and always, they put up with my mess. They put up with all the art supplies everywhere. The little made-up classroom in the garage where I taught all of my siblings and my neighborhood, young children in the neighborhood. They became my students when I was very young. This recognition is not just a reflection of my journey, but of all the lives intertwined in it. If there's one thing I hope to leave behind, it's this. Art is not reserved for a few. It belongs to all of us. It is our curiosity, our stories, and our willingness to see the world differently. Art images are one of the most powerful voices to have. Be loud and be vibrant. I accept this honor with gratitude and with a renewed commitment to keep creating, keep teaching, and keep advocating for the arts in every space that I can. Thank you.
What an incredible experience we've shared together tonight. I, and I know all of us, are truly in awe of our inductees. As a 1986 graduate of C.W. Baker High School, I'm honored to serve on this board and celebrate such extraordinary talent, many of whom I had the privilege of knowing and performing with years ago, and others whose incredible artistry I have just come to appreciate through this organization, including the mural on the side of Sal's New York style pizza and restaurant by David Joshua Smart, right here in Baldwinsville. Let's give our 2026 Baldwinsville Community Hall of Fame for Visual and Performing Arts class another well-deserved round of applause for their passion. Yep, let's do it. Their passion, dedication, and lasting impact on Baldwinsville, Central New York, and beyond, as former students of the Baldwinsville School District and/or mentors and contributors within the Baldwinsville community will last forever. Thank you. Thank you to our generous sponsors, our banner sponsor, Upstate Chiropractic, our marquee sponsors, Mark and Sandy Baker, and all of our Spotlight and Friends of the Arts sponsors listed in your program and on our slides. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you. We also extend our sincere thanks to everyone who made tonight possible, our board members, staff, performers, volunteers, and Chris named a whole bunch in the beginning, so thank you. A few quick announcements. All inductees and your presenters, please remain after the program for a photo on stage or just below here. Kathy and Kevin Baker will guide us. Everyone else, please join us for a reception right here behind us in this nice little cafe style here, cabaret. Be sure, and then we would love to have you. This will give you an opportunity to speak to our inductees and just celebrate. Lots of delicious food, too. And as Chris mentioned in the beginning, please be sure on your way out to visit the Wall of Fame right outside here. It's really very special. If tonight has inspired you to nominate someone or make a donation, please see the QR code and information in your program. Nominations for the 2027 class are open currently now through October 15th of this year. Now, to close our ceremony, our final performance. Hold on. It's a wonderful collaboration between the C.W. Baker High School Chamber Choir, conducted by Hall of Fame Class of 2026 inductee Carol Jacoby, and featuring Class of 2026 inductee Diane Spoto on flute and vocals, our Class of 2026 inductee Todd Hoban on guitar and vocals, Baker High's very own Colin Keating on piano, Steve Orlando on drums, and Brett Hoban on bass. Arranged by Carol Jacoby. Everybody else who's in it, come on down. They are going to present Almost Like Being in Love.
Check.
That was amazing. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you, everybody. Wow. This is really what it's all about, right? Bringing it all together, full circle, past, present, and future. Thank you, everyone. And congratulations to our inductees. Thank you, Carol, for bringing them all together and creating such a wonderful performance. Once again, can we have the inductees come on up and their presenters for a photo? And we'll see everyone at the reception. Thank you for coming.